Welcome to the Raspberry Pi workshop tutorials brought to you by ModMyPi, BuyaPi.ca, and PiShop.us. In this series of videos, we'll demonstrate 9 projects that can be made using the YouTube Workshop Kit for Raspberry Pi. These projects are a great way to familiarize yourself with the Pi's input and output functions, as well as creating programs in Python that we'll use to control the Pi's hardware. In this 7th tutorial, Temperature Sensor, we'll connect a sensor to the Raspberry Pi using the one-wire configuration. We'll connect the temperature sensor to the Raspberry Pi using this pin, Gpio 4. Let's start wiring this up. Our diagram shows using a green wire to connect from the 4th pin on the Gpio left side to the breadboard. Now let's take a look at the board. I've gone ahead and started to set this up. You can see our 3-legged temperature sensor, the resistor, and the wiring are already in place for the middle pin. This is the tricky bit, so we'll do it first so we can see it clearly, and then we'll add the other ground and power pins. We can see from here that the middle pin of the temperature sensor is connected to this end, the right side of the resistor, and the left side of the resistor connects to this red wire, which comes down here to the positive power rail. The channel that the middle leg of the temperature sensor is in is also connected to the green jumper wire, which goes over to our pin on the Gpio. Now we'll add power to the right leg of the temperature sensor. And we'll connect that to the power rail. Lastly, we'll ground the left leg of the temperature sensor to the ground rail. It took me 2 tries to get this right, so make extra sure to check all of your connections. Once you've wired up your circuit, apply power to the Raspberry Pi, boot it up, and open your command terminal. Before we get coding this time, we need to make a few tweaks to the Raspberry Pi. Our temperature sensor needs to communicate digitally with the Raspberry Pi's Gpio system using the I2C protocol. To turn it on, type sudo raspi-config. Use the down arrow to navigate down to option 5, interfacing options, and press enter to select it. Navigate to I2C and press enter again. And use the left key to select yes and press enter. Confirm OK with enter. And then use your right arrow key to navigate to finish and press enter. We also need to activate the one-wire functionality of the Gpio, which allows sensors to be read using only one digital channel. To do this, type sudo nano /boot/config.txt. There are lots of settings here that you can look through, but just scroll down to the end and we'll add a comment. Add dt overlay equals w1 minus Gpio. Use Ctrl X to exit, yes, and enter to save. Before we do anything else, we have to reboot for these changes to take effect. So use sudo reboot. Once the Pi has rebooted, change directories into our code folder, cd gpio_python_code, and create a new program. We'll use the shortcut to create it using nano 7_temperature.py. paste in your program and we'll take a closer look at some of the code. We'll begin with the same Python declaration as always. Import any libraries that we need. And then we'll get into some new sections. Section 3 tells the program where to look for all of the data that's being fed back from our temperature sensor and stored temporarily in files on the Raspberry Pi. In order to access this, we need the glob.glob command, which comes from the glob library. Next, let's look at the end of the program, where a while true loop keeps the whole program running and prints a result every second. Section 4 is a function called readTemp_raw. This function opens the file, reads the raw lines of data, and then returns the lines as the result of the function. In section 5, we use a different function called readTemp to interpret that data, and if it makes sense and matches the formatting that we're expecting, we'll pass it along to the print command at the end. This is a good overview of how this program works, but there are a lot more new functions and math operations used that you can dig into further yourself. Press Ctrl X to exit, Y for yes, and enter to confirm. Run the program using sudo python 7_temperature.py. There we go. We're seeing the values scrolling on screen, first in Celsius, then the comma, and then in Fahrenheit. What temperature is it where you are? Thank you for watching, and please follow us on social media for more Pi projects and resources.